There you go. You can do it first.
Can I do it? Oh, how exciting!
You do it into that camera.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. And then I'll do it into this one. I say this every time, right? And Kitty's bored of hearing it. But every guest that we have, this is what, third or fourth one we've done. Everyone that does this clapper has a massive smile on their face when they do it.
I did.
Everyone loves it.
And what a beautiful space you have. It's beaut.
Thank you. It took a lot of time of just winging it.
Yeah.
Like working out what these were going to fit, putting stuff like this up.
What are they behind you?
So that's noise cancelling.
Oh my gosh, clever.
So it's quite good like now because obviously there's no one in the office. Yeah, no one's really around.
Quiet.
Sometimes like Gavin came in at like 1 o'clock. So it could be people banging doors, chatting in there, moving around. And because this is the corridor, we don't know who's going to be whistling while they're walking down or whatever. So if we can absorb a little bit of the sound, then makes a big difference.
It does. But I bet having a kit like this, actually, like the noise cancelling stuff.
Yeah, you can't hear a lot.
Makes such a difference.
But also I didn't like that wall being plain. So part of it is like the aesthetics of, that looks a little bit more like we've got a studio as opposed to...
It does. I wouldn't even know where we were.
Yeah,
I've got this in my kitchen. I put it up all by myself. Yep, it's great.
And that's the thing, like we wanted to be like, hopefully from our pictures, you can't see that you're just in an office.
I would never know.
And that's kind of what we wanted it to be. We didn't need
great.
To get two spaces was a bit silly.
Yeah.
So try and squeeze it in, and then we pack all this away when we're not filming and we've got a decent sized office.
Space. Yeah, it's absolutely perfect.
So yeah, all good fun really.
All good fun. Bye, Kitty. Nice to meet you.
Enjoy the pub.
Oh, what a vibe. We're going to get a Nando's after, and we're excited about that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can sit outside.
Bye.
Bye.
It's going to be nice for next week. It's my birthday on Thursday, so I'm definitely going to the pub.
Got to get to the pub. Are you off work or are you working?
No, I'm working, but sometimes you've got to just...
Maybe you can work from home.
Well, I don't like working from home.
Really? You feel like you're more productive here?
Yeah, I've got my setup here. I've got, like, Austin's will distract me. True. Alfie will distract me.
Yeah. Who's Alfie? His pet?
Our dog,
the dog, yeah.
So I feel like here it's my space.
Yeah.
Because my office used to be the garage. The house, and then I moved here, and it's literally 5 minutes to get here, but it's that detached from work, home.
Yeah, it's really important to do that.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in stuff at home, and you're like, oh, I need to work. If I have any admin to do, I always go out and get coffee.
Yeah.
I find it a bit harder to do at home.
Yeah, and some days I just go and work in a cafe just to get out of the office, which is weird. Like, I feel like I'm more creative when I'm out
different
somewhere.
Space.
Yeah, and I went to... is it Number 7 Coffee, the one round the corner? Yeah. And it's just nice to be around people chatting about stuff. Mm-hmm. People come in and you're not listening to people, but it's nice to hear people, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
just hear what people are talking about. Like they were talking about, they obviously know a lot of people in the area because people come in and out. Oh, this person doing this person doing that, and have a little bit of a energy is quite nice.
It's such a nice space. There's so many little local places actually. Number 7 being one of them. Curiosity Cafe, that's quite cool in there. Really cool nice. I also love De Paris.
Yeah.
I like the openness, and like a high ceiling does it for me.
Yeah.
I could be so creative if the space is right.
Hi, welcome back to TruPod. Today's podcast is with Danielle Cox. A really nice conversation. She's the most positive person I think I've ever been around. Her view on life and putting positivity out to the universe is really infectious and really nice to be around. We spoke about starting out, her journey, little tips and tricks of advice on how to grow a following, how to grow a business, how to just take the leap. We did talk a lot in the first 20 minutes or so about all sorts of nonsense. So we've kept that at the back end of the podcast, so you can listen to that if you want. If not, you can duck out when the podcast ends. We had some camera issues, so the back half of my audio is a little bit out from the picture, which is frustrating, but it is what it is. We're new to this and we're learning, but we're just putting it out there that we know it's there. Enjoy the podcast, like, subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. What I want to do is I don't want to rush you, but I want to get a short intro from you around your journey.
Oh, okay.
But not that. So I know we sort of touched on it before, but the podcast isn't just about business, right? It's about people. It's about understanding that.
Yeah.
But what I want to do is I want to provide a platform or a space or just if people listen to snippets of it, it's not just about having an idea. So I talk to my brother or my friends, I'd like to run a business, I haven't got the idea, I haven't got this and I've got that. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's about changing the world, having your own business. Mm-hmm. It's about finding something you're passionate about, finding something that you can do every day, not feel like you're dragging yourself out of bed, but also want to do it every day, you've got a passion that you want to drive, but also then where do you start? Why did you start? And then how would you push it forward? So it's about starting, scaling, selling, or getting investment in a business. That's kind of what the podcast is around.
Love that. So you want this podcast to be the little go-to for where people are starting out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you start? How did you start? And obviously that's a big question.
Yeah. Start my self-employed journey or way back as a therapist?
A little bit of both. Because there's obviously a story as to why you went into that space. Yeah. But then there's also a story of why you're like, okay, now it's time for me to do me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So tell it in a way that you want people to hear it.
Okay. Wow.
Put you on the spot.
Oh, it has, but okay. So I became a therapist 10 years ago. Started working for myself 10 years ago. I was 15 when I went to college. I kind of went into beauty with a bit of an agenda, but I didn't know I was going to work for myself. I'll be honest. I thought my whole career that I was going to work with children. So I studied child development at school. Went to work in a nursery. Back then, it was so helpful at school. In year 10, we had to do a 2-week work experience placement. So I was like, great, I'm going to go to the nursery I went to. But unfortunately, I was like, this just is not for me. And I'm so pleased that that was the case because luckily there was a little salon around the corner from me at my parents' house. And during that summer holidays, I think, when would it have been? During the 6 weeks before I was studying, like for my final year, I just said, have you got any work experience placement? Can I come and work here? And I basically didn't leave. I did my 2 weeks there and then was like, oh, actually, can I just stay? Like, I'll come in every Saturday. I really enjoy it here. Got to know clients that I now see every month, even now, which is just wild. So bearing in mind, I think my oldest little love is like 87.
Wow.
And she's been with me since I was 15. I'm 30 this year.
Wow.
So that's just wild. But it's so gorgeous to go on that life journey with clients. Like it's one thing letting your family see your journey, but it's another thing when you've upskilled and you're able to show them physically like what you're doing new.
Sure.
It's really lovely. Or change location, but we'll get onto that. I did my 1 year at college and then did a full year of apprenticeship, which personal opinion, but it's the best thing that could have happened. I was quite shy, lacked quite a lot of confidence. So to be able to just see those clients and build those skills around whilst I was still learning was like the best possible thing. And I think there's also so much to say for people going into college at later life to learn something new. It's so important just to keep those skills rolling. And I always said once I'd gone self-employed, every year I will do a course to learn something new, like keep my skills up there. That's so important, isn't it? 'Cause it's so easy to just get like way too comfortable.
And I think also you learn differently as you get older. You know what you want to learn about and you know how you learn and how to kind of, like, I learn way better than I did when I was at school because I know what I want to learn about, how I learn best, and I put the time that I want to put into it as opposed to feeling like I have to put time into it.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And I think as well, when we were at school, there wasn't so much of like learning styles, but now they're so aware of that, which is so positive. I'm a very visual person, I've learned. As I then finished college, I stayed at the salon that I had done my work experience in and just stayed there and was there for another 2 years. Then there were changes within the salon. I just thought, oh, maybe it's my time to like go self-employed. I'd seen some people back then, it was more Facebook, Instagram wasn't really a thing. That kind of like gone on their own and I always looked up to them. I was obviously still living at home with my parents and just thought maybe now's the time. My mum was very nervous. Like, oh my God, what if it doesn't work out? But we were like, well, what can go wrong? Like, I spoke to a couple of friends and one of my good friends had said his friend has a salon in town and she's got a space to rent out in like the back room, would you want it? So I literally rocked up there one day, had a chat with her, and then I think opened up in the December 2019. No, when would that have been? A long time ago.
Time flies, doesn't it? You're trying to work it out now. Yeah,
I'm trying to work it out. 2015, 10 years ago. Of course it would have been.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's 10 years this year. Wild.
Wow, you can celebrate that, 10 years.
I will be celebrating that. It's quite a big end of the year, actually. My 30th end of October and then 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years is an absolute achievement, definitely.
Wild.
Like,
and what a
so
journey.
many businesses don't make 10 years.
Yeah, I feel so grateful. And as I say, like the clients that have come with me from like day one, followed me to various locations, it's a real privilege. I feel very, very lucky. And just met gorgeous people along the way. I did a bit of everything beauty-wise, covered everything from like, when you go to beauty college, as like you cover everything, but I specifically worked on spa therapies when I was doing my apprenticeship. So this covered every like water therapy, a lot of massage and stuff. So it probably took me a good like 5 years to really sink into that properly and think this is really solely what I want to do. Was in the space where I rented at the hair salon for 2 years. And then my PT at the time, she was opening her own private gym, Studio 281 in Kempston, if you guys have heard of that. And I was lucky enough to start their journey with them, was in their space for 2 years as well. In the meantime, my sister was training as a hairdresser, and we'd always had a pipe dream, like one day we'll have a salon, but nothing really came from it. And I was actually on a retreat with Studio 281 in Barcelona. It was an incredible experience. I feel like that's where my retreat background, those little seeds were planted back then. Had an amazing time. And my sister called me like, we've got a viewing to go and see a premises on Wednesday. I think this was the Sunday. And I was like, this feels so bad. Oh my gosh, because I'm on this incredible experience with these guys. Like, do I feel ready? But then my sister qualified and we were like, look, we're renting spaces either way. What's the worst that can go wrong? What's going to happen? So we went to see a few various premises. And that's another thing that I think is really important. It's such a big jump getting your own space, knowing that before you make any profit, you are having to pay for like another rent, gas, electric, all that stuff before you're feeding yourself. Like, that is very, very frightening. But we were like, do you know what? Like, let's do it, because we'd had the experience of paying rent in either spaces where we were renting. In the studio, for example, when she was renting a space in a hair salon. So we were like, well, let's put that money together. Why would we not? Yeah. And then, so finally found our lovely salon, which is in Bedford on the Broadway. And we've been there 5 years now, coming up our 6 years in September, which, end of September, which is just crazy. And it was the perfect space. After we had filtered out a few and just thought, no, actually, this isn't for us, or it cost too much to put things in. When we came across the salon, it was already, the basins were plumbed in, so we were good to go. My little beauty room at the back was perfect. We just had minimal work to do. So we had a 2-week turnaround. It was wild, crazy. And in that time, obviously, there's so many name changes that has to happen, like business setups in terms of bank accounts. So it was all very like,
that's a lot to happen in that short period of time,
2 weeks was wild.
Jesus.
And I had back then been in a beauty Bedford, so then I was having like a complete rebrand in a way, because we like to think of the salon as a bit of an umbrella. All the girls that work with us are self-employed, so we have like the salon, and then they have their little businesses like dropping off. They've just grown incredibly, and it's so lovely to hold space for people and watch them grow. We've got 2 hairdressers alongside my sister, and then another lovely beauty girl working part-time in the little snug, we call it. And it just works so seamlessly. We're all such good friends, and I feel like that's the base of building a team. Having a strong friendship, but also really good boundaries. We've always said transparency is key, like from the very, very beginning. If there's anything you're not happy with, anything we need to talk about, let's talk about it. We'll iron things out as we go.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It sounds like a real kind of organic process of sort of just one sort of flowing from the next opportunity to the next opportunity. But I think when you break it down that simply, it sounds like it was just, it just happened.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just happen. It's like you've kind of, I feel like you've told that story which is a great story, but they put no credit on how much work it takes to get from those next phases.
The steps. I get bored. I'll be honest. I get so bored. I need that drive. Like, cool, been in this space for 2 years. What's next?
Yeah.
Okay, done this for so many years. Bored. Like, could do this now. What's next?
That sort of next step of improvement.
That. Yeah. Which is good in business.
To kind of go to the next thing.
I think because as well, when you work for yourself, you haven't got a boss. You haven't got someone saying, oh, you're going on this CPD now. Like, you have to make that own progression yourself.
You also have to pay yourself. You can't guarantee a paycheck at the end of the month, regardless of what goes on.
Absolutely. The financial side, I feel, of businesses, you might agree, is not spoken about enough. And it's still so icky. It's still so, money, but it's so needed. I am such a big fan of, like, almost time blocking my weeks, but I have it. So on a Tuesday, I call it my Abundance Tuesday. So I work through, like, have a money date. So work through things in the business, things that are coming out. Like, we all have bills to pay. Why are we shying away from this?
Yeah.
Why are we not speaking about it?
Yeah.
Why are we not helping each other out? Find me the cheapest supplier.
Yeah.
You know?
I do think that there's the whole money thing. I talk about this a lot, and I think there's a big, like, I don't know if it's stigma, but I think that, again, talking on like social media, it's a case where if you're not absolutely smashing it by the time you're 25 and you've got a Rolex and you're driving a whatever Range Rover, that you're not made it. But also, like, it's tough and it's real and it's you do have to pay things, but there's also, if you do it right and you watch money and you manage things and you communicate with people and you talk about what's going on and people are open, it's not impossible because people are doing it, right? Yeah, and I think that there's managing the expectation of what you want to deliver. You're not failing if you haven't got 15 salons by the time you're 35. But also, like, I think that people do need to be more open about what's going on. I think people need to be open about, going back to the mental health side of it, how stressful it is to run your own business.
Everyone is stressed.
Yeah, how stressful it is, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're not doing a good job. It doesn't mean that you're not successful in your own way. And what is success? Your success is probably different to mine.
Yeah.
Which is probably different to somebody else listening or whatever.
Absolutely.
And running your own race in that is really important, and not looking at what everybody else is doing, how much everybody else is earning, and like you said, you're providing platforms for people. And sometimes they may be doing better than you. They might be growing their business rapidly. They might move on. Good for them. That's not. I don't think that there's a lot of competition that doesn't need to be there. Is my long way of saying that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. There's so many different paths that you could look down. But yeah, you're right. Like, asking yourself regularly, what does success look like to me? And knowing you're striving towards that on a regular basis, like every day, taking those tiny little actionable steps. When you break it down is really good. I knew the very first premises that I moved into, I wasn't going to stay there forever. I didn't necessarily know I was going to move into a gym before I had my own salon, but there was always that little niggle in the back of my brain, like, maybe one day you'll set up with my sister, with Kim. Like, maybe it's there. And then slowly, I'm a massive fan of manifestation. I feel like that, planting those seeds, even if it's a case of coming back to them like 5-6 years later, it's thoughts that have progressively been able to grow over time. Yeah.
I think you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I think you sound like you surround yourself with people that are similar mindset. Yes. There's a competition of, you've got a business, I've got a business, and there's a natural competition of people, but I don't think that's the right way of looking at it. Everyone can help each other, you can get thoughts, and if you surround yourself by that, I think it's a really good approach.
I love collaborating. It's literally one of my favourite things, and it's only probably been in the last 3 years that I've lent on people and be like, actually, how can we scale our businesses together? That's so important. I collaborate with so many amazing women in so many different ways, whether it be treatment-wise, that is bringing two things together to create a completely unique experience. Of recent times, in the last couple of years, I was working from a little plant shop in town, Castle Road area, and something I had just thought of, like a random idea came to me, and I was like, imagine an immersive experience of a treatment being done in the plant shop, like surrounded by all the plants. Like, what an amazing vibe. Cool. I would want that. Yeah. So I literally messaged him like this. I remember the message. This might be a little bit random, and I don't know what you might think I'm crazy, but would you let me hire this space once a month? And I did, every last Tuesday of the month.
Cool.
I used to go there, and it was just such a lovely experience. And then I started doing workshops, so that was like group sessions. So things were able to just naturally grow amongst the plants, obviously. And just creating a whole new like immersive experience was really fun.
I think I'm a good example of this, right? I'm sometimes a little bit, I wouldn't say scared, and apprehensive to just ask the question. Are you open for us doing this? Do you want to come and do a podcast for us on this? Do you want to do this? And putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Like, what's your advice on just
doing it?
Yeah.
Just think, what's the worst that can happen? They turn around and say, no, it's not for me. Sorry. Fine. I'll just look on to the next idea.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say yes because nobody else has asked that.
Yeah.
Your idea is so unique that they might not have been like reached out to before in that way. Just give it a go. I think collaboration is so important, and leaning on each other and just allowing that natural growth, because you're going to bring something to their business that perhaps they haven't thought of, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You learn things about each other along the way.
Yeah. Because I know you do a lot of, like you said, local collaboration and a lot of like female founder-led stuff, don't you? Talk to me about like, I don't know what being a female founder is like. So
it's very powerful.
You have to, I think that it is powerful. I think that there's a really positive movement around female founders, and I think that's a lot across a lot of spaces. I know that sort of some of our clients are in the tech space, and there's VCs that are desperate for female founders, and I think that there's a really positive movement that is great. But is it? Just talk to me around that, because there's obviously positives, negatives, and everything in and around
everything in between. Yeah, for sure. I feel like probably I hadn't even thought of myself as a female founder before. Funny what you touched on earlier, actually. Sometimes I don't appreciate my growth and the steps that I had taken, like putting myself out there, going to see a second premises, like all these little things. They just kind of naturally roll for me, and I think, oh, that was a cool day.
Yeah.
But don't really reflect on it often enough, but I'm getting better at that. So I hadn't really thought of myself as a female founder, as crazy as that sounds, until Lauren from the Little Marketing Co. Last year, she asked me to team up and help her run business retreats for female founders. And I was like, me? That's amazing. But again, that came from just a simple DM. She slid into the DMs just asking me, hey, I love your work. Would you be interested in doing this? So I was like, yeah, let's have a chat. What we got to lose? Again, I'd never had a message like that before. That's amazing.
True.
Someone had noticed me without even, I'm just doing stories every day, chatting away. So it was really lovely to have that recognition and feel like I could bring value to her sessions. It's more so on the mindset side. So we run retreats, but they actually started as vision board workshops for female founders. Okay. So I feel like having a vision board allows you to make and take such creative action, and it's so powerful. It's so important to do that, because particularly as a business owner, you are busy. Your mind is busy. If you're a visual learner, cutting something out of a magazine, even a colour scheme that you'd like your logo to be, is so lovely to have that on paper, and then you can tick it off as you go. So these vision board sessions came along for literally the women we worked with a bit of essential oil to kind of get them in the mood, allow their space and allow them to breathe deeply, just settle them into the space, then get creative for about an hour and a half. And then we all talk through our vision boards at the end. It's gorgeous. So the retreats that we're running, we've got one on the 3rd of June, which is going to be so lovely. 2nd of June. It's on the 2nd of June. So know when it is at the Grange, a beautiful location house in Milton Ernest. And it's running on the 2nd of June at 10 till 4 p.m. Nice. So really lovely day. It's just so powerful. And to be in a room where you can feel the energy of people buzzing off each other is incredible. Yeah. So and it's so lovely, because I will kind of sit back at the top of the table in the Grange. They've got a beautiful open space, as we were saying earlier, like the creativity comes when you're in a very new environment. So this is a beautiful space. Like a gorgeous long table, massive windows at the end, and I could see the collaborations just pinging from each other across the table. And I was like, hey, have you met blah, blah, blah? This is really important. I feel like you guys could make magic together. And there's so many that we've seen on Instagram since our sessions, and it's like, nice. Yes, girls, go get it. It's so powerful. So the retreat is just an extension of that. as I say, I get a little bit bored with things. So I'll do like 2 or 3 sessions of something and be like, okay, this is all good, but how can we amplify it?
Yeah.
Don't want that stagnancy. So the retreat is going to be gorgeous. We've actually got a guest speaker coming in as well. She's a psychotherapist, which is a very interesting way to analyse a business owner's brain, because we're wired differently.
Yeah.
And seeing any kind of opportunity, I think, in any situation is a positive.
Yeah.
But it'll be very interesting to see what Kerry has to say on the day.
I think it's actually really interesting you said that, because as you're talking, I was thinking that that's the brain of someone that entrepreneurial spirit. You see something, how do I make it better? How do I make it better? How do I make it better? And I think you just said it just then, but you're obviously not very good at looking what you've achieved.
Yeah.
Right?
I do. I run, and I'm like, oh, look.
But no, not a lot of people will go from place to place to place, bigger, better, offering more. Not a lot of people will go to the effort to learn something new and push themselves. And I think it's a mindset thing. You've got that in your head, but I think that people think that you're either that person or you're not.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the truth. I think that you can just find something that you want enough to make yourself that person.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think networking
and if you can see things to make things better, why would you not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as you start doing that, it becomes natural. Do you know what I mean? So I was having conversations with a friend of mine that wants to start a business, and he was saying, I gave him an idea. Why don't you think you're good at doing this? You're very good at doing this. Why don't you use what you're good at as just a different angle? So he's a very, very, very good golfer, right? Probably better than most people, like the top, I don't know, 5%, I don't know what the stat is, but it's top 5%, very good golfer. Not if 95% of people can't do that and you can, talk about it.
Absolutely.
Help people do that, right? And then I started talking about it. And as we started talking about it, actually, I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this, and I could do this.
Saw that spark of inspiration.
And that's the thing.
Nice.
I think that people think that you to be an entrepreneur or a business owner, you have to have that something in your brain that's there that you were born with. But I don't think that's true. I think that once you get that thing that you're like, I'm inspired,
then
and
it runs.
You keep going and going and going with it.
Like I say, my confidence was on the floor. Like I could not imagine sitting here like talking in a podcast situation. That's wild. For so long, I just didn't think that was going to be me, or be able to reach out to people, for example. Like once upon a time, I used to make my sister go and pay for stuff in the shop. I didn't want to get up to speak to the shopkeeper. Hell no.
Yeah, I didn't. I used to get my sister to call, I don't know, if we call him Domino's or something. I was like, can you call him? Because I don't want to be on the phone. I don't want to be on the phone.
Isn't it funny?
Then I was a salesperson on the phone making 150 calls a day, like 2 years later.
Wow, that's
It
wild.
is nuts, but I think that kind of finding that thing takes you go past your comfort zone, and then kind of don't really know what's going to happen next. To your point, I never thought I'd run a business, like not in a million years.
Yeah, and it's such a journey, isn't it? You learn so much along the way, as well as what you're inspiring to do. There's going to be natural skills that you pick up. Yeah. Like going on a camera course, for example. Never thought you'd do that, right? No. Wild.
What is a kind of, when you sit back and you think about it, is there any moments that have been like, I don't like to say any barriers, because I think that's kind of a stoppage thing, but is there any moments when you thought, fuck, I can't do this? Or when it's gone, that's something, you tried something, it went really wrong and you had to adjust? Is there any, or is it, nothing just goes smoothly, and if it does, then I'm jealous, because mine hasn't done that.
Yeah, there's always little hiccups along the way. I must say, I have been very, very lucky. I think I've always gated myself in some kind of sense of security. If I'm pushing myself something forward, okay, if that doesn't quite go to plan, what's plan B? Yeah, sure. Always had a bit of like a backup, and it would just be as equally good. But I'd probably say COVID. That's probably a lot for a lot of people, a lot of business owners as well. But we had opened the salon end of September. We were closed by the April. In that time, I had been accepted on a mortgage, got the keys to my house in March. It's like, great, this is fantastic. I now have no income. Yeah. And I've got a mortgage to pay, which is something I'd never had before. That was my first home from leaving my parents. And it was the scariest time, because as we were drawing up and the announcements were being made and all that weird time, that feels such a distant memory now, doesn't it? we, one by one, my worst ever nightmare was happening in front of my eyes. My clients message, sorry, I'm going to have to cancel, hon. Look forward to seeing you soon. But like scrolling through like, oh my God, this is happening. And it was out of my control. There's nothing I had done. I hadn't made a major cock up, and it was just one of those things that had to happen. So yeah, it was quite a challenge. But other positives did come from lockdown, and I was very grateful for my home and grateful for my sister and my parents keeping me very like checked in, even though I'd gone from living with them and working with them to not seeing them at all.
Wow.
In this house with my boyfriend at the time, and was like, well, this is fun. What now?
Yeah.
Wild.
It feels like a weird nightmare.
It does.
It doesn't feel like it happened. It doesn't feel like you had to wear a mask everywhere you go. It doesn't feel like it happened, really. It was just
bizarre.
Everyone's kind of blocked it out of their head a bit, haven't they?
Agreed, yeah. And I write a journal like more or less every day. And sometimes I pull that one back up just to be like, how was life once upon a time?
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy to get caught up in the mundane day to day, but we were so unfortunate at one point to not be able to see as many people as we do.
It was a result when you could go to Tesco's. Do you know what I mean? You were like, you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't do anything. And if you went to queue, I remember queuing outside Tesco's, it was like, I don't know, 50 people at a time. That was my time out of the house.
Your day out, wasn't it?
It was nuts.
Wild. We did have a lovely renovation of the salon when we came back. So we were like, we need a sense of like newness and new energy. Our clients are coming back to us. They've been so supportive. So many people have bought vouchers, which was so lovely at the time. But coming back to it, I was like, oh, I'm not getting any money because they're prepaid. But it was the support we had around it made the sense of security so much better.
Yeah.
And then, I'd say probably another pivot, we called it, reframed it. Last year, I was holding a retreat at a lovely venue called Polehanger Farm, and we were hoping for our first weekend retreat. They've got bedrooms, so we thought, stunning. Do like a Friday night, Saturday, or a Saturday night over into Sunday. Lovely. It got probably like 3 months close to the time, and we had sold no tickets. And obviously, we have to pay deposit on these things. Like, they do cost us before we get an income. And we were like, what are we going to do? We need to change the dynamic of this quickly. So we decided, right, let's do a Friday night event and then a full Saturday day retreat. So just split the two up. People could come to both or either one. And they both sold out.
Wow.
So we were so lucky with that.
That's the thing, right? And I think it's what you've highlighted earlier. And I think that's not a small example, but if you're got an idea of a business or idea of something you can do with your business, like that's the plan B, right?
Yeah.
And I think that people sometimes think that in every, either got the business or whatever, it's success or failure, and it's not true.
You just
adjust
tweaks.
A pivot, like whatever you need to do.
Absolutely.
And that's like starting this podcast out. Worst case scenario, I just enjoy doing it.
Yeah, you can speak. You can
the income doesn't rely on it. Yeah. The business is running itself fine. Worst case scenario, I enjoy talking to people and learn something. If no one watches it, that's the worst thing that happens, right?
Absolutely.
Hopefully people do watch it.
I think they will. We'll share it everywhere.
So I would like to understand, you got your first, so you started self-employed yourself, then obviously you've had to grow your customer base. That growth, this is me guessing here, is a lot of what you do is word of mouth, right? You've introduced this person, they talk to their partner, their friend, their whatever. How does that growth come about, and how much did you use sort of social media in doing that?
In the very early days, guess what my platform was? It was Facebook Marketplace.
Really?
Wild. That's how far things have come. That makes me so sad. I had to put pictures up of nails on Marketplace.
Wow.
Because it wasn't spoken about. Like how that is where the baseline really was. Facebook, obviously back then, 10 years ago, was at its prime. So sharing things on there, I look back at the pictures now like cringing, but it's very humbling.
Yeah.
Then the rise of Instagram was very great for me. I would say when people share things on their stories, it is such an instant testimonial of your work.
Yeah.
You don't even have to like ask for a review of them. If they're sharing something and they've got 250 followers, those 250 followers might see that.
Yeah.
It takes one tap on your handle for them to follow you, right?
Sure.
So things like that, I would say, are such great natural organic growth of things. And just don't be afraid to put yourself out there.
I think that's a really important point, because there's getting yourself out there and comfortable with it, and there's being consistent with it as well.
Yeah, consistency is the key.
That's what we talk to our clients about all the time. And it's difficult.
Yeah.
It's time consuming, and sometimes it's annoying, but it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah. I bore myself on Instagram sometimes, but I'm like, do you know what? If I was to get kidnapped, people would know where I am, but I'm actually right about that. Oh, she's in the woods.
Yeah.
But it's so lovely, and I definitely think if it's a brand that is growing from like a personal brand perspective, which mine has kind of leaned into that, as much as I'm a massage therapist, retreat facilitator, whatever you want to word it as, people are buying into me.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I'm like, I have to be actively looking after myself to show that I'm basically like practicing what I'm preaching, right?
Yeah.
It's so important for that. So allowing people to share a personal journey with you, they buy into you as much as everything else. And why don't you want to connect on a personal level to your client?
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like that's just as important.
Yeah, 100%. I think you've got that balance between being, you're not on your, I feel like you're very consistent, but it's not overwhelming.
Oh, good.
It's not. I do
worry about that.
Yeah, it's not kind of. There's nothing worse than going on someone's story and you can't see the dots. You know what I mean?
It's like, oh, bored.
Yeah, you're not going to get anything through it, but it's good content. But also, you feel like you do very much practice what you preach. You believe in everything you're talking about, because it's easy to not come across as authentic, and I think authenticity is really important. To what not just what everyone does. People, I think now more than ever, personal brand is really important. Authenticity is really important. And people want to know the person behind the brand.
Yeah.
They want a person behind the business.
Yeah.
Because I think people I think people are more open to the idea of doing their own thing now more than they ever have done.
Agreed.
And they want to see behind the curtain. They want to see, oh, that place looks great. I wonder who
the
owns
owners.
that.
Yeah.
I wonder how they've done that.
Absolutely.
And I think there's so much more of a platform and interest for it now. I think what I'm interested in understanding is, right, how do you find a balance between, so wellness, years gone by, it was, in my view, it was kind of a bit hippie.
Agreed.
It was a bit wishy-washy whether it was real, right? I don't think that's viewed like that anymore. But I think, again, storyboarding, when I think of storyboarding, I think of what I did at school, right? But I also understand now as I'm older, visually, I don't remember a lot of what I did at school, but I remember storyboarding. Do you see what I mean? So I think that...
Something landed in for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that there was a little bit of... My question is, how do you think the view of wellness, I think, is developing more now than it ever has done? Would you agree that that's the sort of the change in the momentum that's going towards it not being a kind of
hippie woo-woo?
Yeah, to actually, it's a real thing.
It's getting there. We're definitely on the right path, and I actually want to do so much more content in supermarkets. I spoke about it with Steph, like how fun it would be. Like, there has been big shifts. They sell like mushroom gummies in Sainsbury's.
Yeah.
Like, come on, this is incredible.
And like ashwagandha and all that sort of stuff, and lion's mane, that's all about that sort of, I don't know if
the sense of wellness and like brain enhancement, isn't it? And lowering fatigue. And it's not like the sugary drinks aren't really promoted as much. And it was once upon a time very, very woo-woo. Like, oh, she's a little hippie, but it's slowly shifting. And there's so many wonderful wellness experiences popping up left, right and centre now that so many groups of friends, couples would prefer to do than going out on a night out.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting, actually, because I feel like generationally there's a massive change. There's maybe our generation where we would spend a Friday, Saturday night getting dressed up, going out, rolling home, getting a kebab on the way home, like not feeling great the next day.
Yeah.
And now we're in a slow little shift where these young people would prefer to maybe have a really nice healthy meal, put their face mask on, have a good early night's sleep, wake up on a Sunday and go to the gym.
Yeah.
There's like a transition happening, and it's so positive and it's lovely to see.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel that's generational. As much as like speaking and mindset and mental health is being broadened, that door is opening so much more wider than it ever has done. It's a generational change, isn't it? For example, our grandparents would never be as open as we are now, but we start to see those subtle shifts in things, and it's such a positive.
My granddad's way of doing that is going to the pub.
Yeah.
That was his escape.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the pub every Friday and Saturday night.
I saw a new thing, actually, that Guy's new pub is a sauna. I was like, yes, I love this. Still very social, but just like they're sweating out the toxins instead of consuming them.
Yeah, and I think, like you said as well, sleep. I think there's more of a view of healthy eating, sleeping right, healthier habits. And I do feel like a lot of, especially kind of, like say, our age group are kind of maybe seeing what our grandparents did or seeing unhealthier generations and think, like for me, I want to be 50, 60 and still playing football with my son.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of where I think there's a lot of more people thinking that way. I think as well that like external stresses are more now than they were then.
Yeah.
So I think that I didn't live in that in sort of that generation, but it was kind of felt like it was work, home, and there wasn't much of there was no social media. There was no external pressures, expectations, other things going on in life. And I think now there's a lot more of that.
It's so visual, isn't it? There's a lot of comparison that naturally happens.
Yeah.
Thinking like, oh, I should be doing this. And then it's easy then to slip into bad habits if you're not feeling good about yourself. Yeah.
So I think it has to be more of a conscious effort now to have those positive habits, have obviously everyone has a takeaway every now and again, but trying the 6 other days to eat right and sleep right.
Just
and
be better.
Yeah.
And everyone's learning. I'm on such a journey. We're learning things about our bodies all the time, right? What's going to work well for us. And I think being open-minded to change is okay, and taking a step back sometimes and avoiding burnout is such a buzzword. We speak about it a lot, but understanding actually, am I in tune with my body to know when I'm feeling run down? Because your body's going to tell you before you're going to need to stop.
Yeah.
So just being so self-aware of that, like, okay, am I needing to take a little break? Am I feeling exhausted? Maybe yes. Am I starting to get a scratchy little throat because, I'm so run down?
Yeah.
Your body's going to tell you before these things happen.
That's kind of what I was going to sort of talk around next. It's kind of trying to find work-life balance is important, especially when you're running your own business or doing multiple things.
Yeah.
And also then, if you are getting to that point of overwhelmed or burnout, what's your take on how to counteract that? Because when you are starting out, you're probably working crazy hours. You're probably doing stuff you've never done before. You're doing your day job. Then you're trying to learn stuff in the evening. And then you're probably not sleeping because you've got ideas. Then you're burning out. How do you find the balance of doing that?
To navigate it all.
And also understanding that you don't have to go 100 miles an hour all the time. You have to listen to your body to pull off and say, actually, I'm not where I want to be, but that's okay because I need to take time to rest.
It's so important.
Do you know what I mean?
And I feel like
that's a big question. A lot thrown at you there.
Yeah, I covered a lot though. I think it's so important because as a business owner, particularly when you start out, it's tiring. You're throwing everything into this business to make it successful, whether it's part-time or full-time. Hats off to the people that manage something part-time as well as running a full-time job, like getting that under their belt. Like, I admire you. One of our nail girl, Maddie, actually, she's incredible. She works full-time corp world, and then she comes to the salon twice a week on an evening, 6 till 9. Does nails, but she said, this is my downtime, this is my time to relax, which is lovely.
Some people are built different, honestly. I couldn't do that.
She's amazing. And then does every other weekend with us, like, incredible. So to get that balance is very, very difficult. And I feel like setting regular breaks for yourself, even if it's, I'm going to have this afternoon off and I'm going to do something lovely. I find getting out in nature a real positive, like getting out, I walk my little doggy twice a day and it's the best thing ever. Sometimes leaving your phone at home isn't a bad thing either.
Yeah.
If you've got a watch, that's your safety. You don't need to be constantly picking that up. It's such a habit we're all in terrible habit of, isn't it? Like nothing's to see, but you're like so distracted.
So many notifications that you don't need, that you look and then you're on it and you end up doing something that you won't even realise what you were doing.
Exactly.
So the amount I had to remove my Instagram where it was because when I unlocked my phone, my thumb went there and I was like,
that's such a good idea. Like change actually location of it. I'm
because I was like, this is wrong.
Every
and then
month.
What I did is I put something like an app for mindfulness or something where that is. So I unlock and I press it and all of a sudden I'm something that I didn't realise that I was going to be at.
Affirmation's going to pop up.
Yeah, or something positive that is more positive to my brain than just scrolling for the sake of scrolling.
Pointless. Yeah. I'd definitely say create some space from your social media.
Yeah.
It's so important. Checking in regular breaks, maybe writing things down often. That's really good. I touched on, I love journaling. I feel that's really powerful. And if you get stumped on what to write about, there's so many incredible journal prompts. You can get them off Google or Pinterest. It's one of my favourites. And just to journal, get your thoughts out onto paper. And there's something lovely about physical writing these days. We don't do it a lot. And just to lean into that, softness.
I think there's a stat. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to look into it. But it's something like, if you write something down, it's 30 times more likely to happen.
I believe that. Yeah.
I don't know what the number is. It might be 3 times 30 or 300. It is a big number anyway. Yeah. If you write it down and make the conscious effort of sitting down, writing, whether you're talking positive or negative, if you're writing negative, you're feeding that negative energy. It's more likely to be real.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to lean into sort of the, I've got a book under there. Is it The Art of Attraction?
Yeah, Law of Attraction.
Law of Attraction,
yeah,
that's it.
Amazing. Is it, what book is it?
I'll have
Power?
a look.
Let's have a look. The Secret? That's a biggie.
Where is it? Maybe taking it home.
You got a few under there.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The Law of Attraction.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And I'm trying to get my head around that a little bit, because I think that it is powerful. If you someone said to me once, and it was a silly example, right? But she said, when you walk in a room with someone and you can know that you can feel there's been an argument, she was like, how do you think you feel that?
The energy, yeah.
And I was like, but that's the same as if you have positivity.
Positive. Yeah,
and I was like, when you break it down like that, everyone's walked in and thought, whoa, this feels a bit awkward in here.
Yeah,
and you can feel it, but in my mind, I was like, yeah, that makes sense now. It kind of, in my head, I was like, I always think negativity, but you can put positivity out there as well.
You can.
And I think
energy is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, heavily. And I think if you're working with people, even more important to be aware of that. Because sometimes vibration-wise, in terms of energy, if there's a heavy negative energy, that can so easily dim the light of someone that's bright in terms of energy-wise. So getting that balance and making sure you're cleansing. I love a good cleansing ritual. Yeah. A bit of sage, bit of Palo Santo.
Maybe I need to lean into that one a little bit more.
Get some sage. But I think the energy's good in here, though. Do
you think?
Yeah.
Just cold air conditioning, maybe.
I feel quite chilled.
Yeah, that was the plan. I'm glad you're especially someone that kind of understands that a little bit more, is feeling it. Yeah. That's what we wanted it to be.
Oh, let me know how you get on with the book. I think you're going to love it. Yeah, it's very, very powerful. And it gives you such a different insight of energetics. Yeah. It's very important.
Yeah.
And then the law of, it all kind of links into one. The law of attraction, manifestation. Yeah. It's like the universe giving you little signs, isn't it?
I think you'll be stupid to ignore the universe is here. We're all here. Everything's going on, and there's not something attached to that.
There's a higher power. Yeah, it's a fun fact. 100%. Whether I'm very spiritual in that sense, I don't particularly have a religion I follow, but I know that there's a sense of higher power. 100%. Yeah.
I like that feeling. I like it's quite lonely to think if there isn't, but it's quite comforting to think that there is. I'm kind of trying to go on this little journey with myself of trying to open my mind up to these things.
We need to do Reiki.
Yeah.
Yes. Do you know much about it?
No.
It's magical. Everyone in the world needs Reiki. I say it all the time. It's amazing. I went to Bali to train, actually.
Wow.
But didn't intentionally train there. I went on a retreat myself over New Year one year, and the lady there was a Reiki master, so that allows them to attune you to receive Reiki and then hold space for others. So it's like an opening of your crown chakra. It's a magical experience. And she just happened to say, I'm going to be running a Reiki course whilst you guys are here. Do anyone want to learn? And I was like, yeah, I do. Yeah,
I'll be interested to see what that's about.
It's amazing. Yeah. Very similar, because you had such a positive experience of breath work in terms of that sense of deep relaxation of not being able to feel where your hands are.
Yeah.
If you're trying to clench them, you probably couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flying.
I'm up for it.
Amazing.
Sold. Woo! So we've kind of covered a lot of, and I haven't asked kind of a question yet from my list.
You want to hit me?
No, I think we've kind of gone through a lot that I wanted to go through.
Amazing.
I think that what I would want to understand and get from you a little bit is what advice. So you've mentioned that you do some mentoring. You've mentioned that you work with a lot of people kind of locally in terms of collaborating with people. Yeah. Female founders is a big thing that's important as well. if you could kind of snippet a little your lessons and learnings and stuff into some advice on whether you're on a couple of things really, where you want to start out or whether you want to just sort of push forward, what would your advice be on those two things?
So if you're looking to start out, I would say get clear on your vision, look at the end goal. One of my favourite things to do is create a ladder. So literally to draw like ladder as you go and think about the little tangible steps you could take, even year by year. Where do you want to be in a year's time? Put your best idea, like the best, highest version, whatever you want to call it, your idea at the top, and then work your way down, and literally like a ladder form. Like, just break it down as much as you possibly can, even if it's a case of, okay, for example, in my line of work, I want to own a salon one day. Okay, break it down. What are you going to need? A premises to start, or your qualifications? Are you going to be working alone? Who are you going to be working with? Collaborating with ideal people? What kind of practicalities do you need in terms of accountants? Who's going to be looking after things in that side? Are you going to be making things to check in with yourself? Like, it's so important just to literally the tiniest little steps, breaking things down, right? Yeah. And if you're wanting to push forward with things, I would say visionary experiences are a really good one. Come to the retreat. Or just take a minute to create a Pinterest board and be like, well, actually, how can I scale my business? One of my favourite things to do, I got a child's is it an A3? Bigger it goes, the smaller the number?
I get confused. I think so, yeah.
A3, big pad, and just put it in the middle, say your brand name, and then write all the ideas around it. Give your brain that space because you're so busy all the time running like to the next thing. But actually see what's going to come to you. What can you explore more in? What can you lean into more? Maybe you've got a speciality there, and just run with it. See who you can connect with to help you grow. That's one thing I've definitely lent on in the last 6 months is actually who knows more than me? I don't know it all.
Yeah.
And you go through a stage of as an entrepreneur, like things are going good. You're like, woo, yeah, I know everything, but you really don't.
Yeah.
And I think staying humble through the experience of that is very, very nourishing for your soul.
I think that's like bang on what I don't know everything that I know. I don't know everything I know. Of course I know everything that I know. There's a lot that I don't know. I think being open to have a mentor or asking advice
it's amazing.
Is a really good approach, because someone also, I think it's important that they don't have to be in your industry to be a mentor.
Yeah.
They could have done something completely different, but they can just sort of sometimes it's just the little touch that way. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that works, but I think maybe that little bit of guidance is sometimes really important. It doesn't have to be someone that tells you what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Just little tweaks here and there.
Just a bit of inspiration is good, isn't it? Yeah, from any line of work. Yeah.
And I think as well, like I learned things from you and stuff. We don't do anything close to the same sort of thing. But just talking about how you approach things, how you break your day down, or how you just say, right, this afternoon is off and I'm going to clear that out. Or I really like that ladder idea.
Yeah, it's so powerful.
Yeah, like bite-sized chunks of what you need to do.
Yeah, like even if it's month per month. One of my also favourite things, if you're quite a visual person, one of my friends who wants to start out in her own business, I've recently got her to do this, draw a clock. And what would your most perfect ideal day look like? What time are you waking up? Are you moving your body in the morning?
Nice.
What are you going to have for breakfast? Are you then going to see a client for a couple of hours? What income are they going to be bringing you?
Yeah.
Like, are you having lunch? Are you going for a little walk? Are you picking back up clients in the afternoon? Are you catching up for a meeting and springing some ideas off a collaboration that's coming up? That is so fun. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes as adults, like that sense of fun and getting creative. As kids, how much fun, hours we would spend playing with stuff. So
playing with a stick. Do you know what I mean?
Like,
I think that that's a really good point, because you have to find our brains are very good at finding the negative, finding how tough something is, or boring, or stressful, or you don't want to do it. But also, there's a lot of fun in life, and I think that as you get older, you become very kind of cold, or you got stung by so many experiences as you grow up, that the work has this big, ugly kind of cloud over it. That's work can't be fun, work can't be enjoyable. You can't enjoy what you do or whatever, because when you see the average person, they probably don't enjoy a lot of their work. But it doesn't mean that you can't have fun in what you do. You can't. I really like that clock idea.
It's great.
In an ideal world, you want to get up at this time, you want to go to bed at this time, you want to do this, you want to do this, and you work. Doesn't mean you can do that tomorrow, but you're working towards that.
What's it going to look like? Yeah. It's so fun. And it is crazy when I did it with my friend, like the realisation of this, when you break it down like that, it's actually not that far away. Like what can I do to make that happen? I
think there's also a little bit of the feeling that you can control your day is quite... like what's the word? Like inspiring. You don't have to be controlled by your 9 to 5.
Absolutely.
And if you want to earn £1 million a year, most people don't, right? If your threshold, let's say for argument's sake, you can run your business by yourself, you're going to earn yourself 50 grand a year, right? By yourself, very achievable to do. You can probably don't have to work 9 to 5 every day, and you can have a good life. You work the times that you want to work. And be pretty, like, that's not unachievable for most people.
Choosing your hard, isn't it, basically? Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't mean it because you have to run a business and have multiple employees and do this, that and the other.
So I sometimes think that brings more stress.
Yeah,
I love the fact that girls are self-employed.
Yeah.
They run their own diaries. They please themselves. We're there for them if they need anything, but it's so lovely that we watch them grow. There's so much power in that. And we're always like, yes, girl, like, what's coming up for you? Like, what can we do to help you? There's been a few little workshops that the hairdressers have ran, and that's so lovely to see and so unique.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to see them utilising the space well and their client base as well.
Yeah.
So, like, just changing situations within the workspace is so nice.
Yeah, and I think it is a bit freeing to not have to... I mean, for us, we're not big, but we've got enough of what we need. You know, you don't have to be a 30-deep team.
Exactly. Yeah.
If that's what you want, good for you, fair play. Like, good for you. But that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be the case. And I think when people set out, just that clock of, okay, I get up at 6, go to the gym, my first client's at 9, I've come back, I've had a shower, had some breakfast, I've walked the dog, dropped the kid off to school, I'm back home by 3 to pick the kids up. That's a good life. That's a good place to be.
Life. Like, back to that question, what does success look like for you?
Yeah.
Asking yourself that before you do the clock is fun.
Yeah. That's really nice. I like that one.
Lovely.
So what's next for you? What's next for you as a brand, for you as a business? Big question.
Yeah, it's a big question. As I said, I get bored, so I have to keep things moving. My focus moving into the next Q2, we're into it now. So I have a mentor. Every month I have power hours with her, and it just allows me to push that needle a little bit further forward. Something I'd never invested in before. I've always been flying solo, just let things go as they do. But my gosh, like, having her on my side has just allowed things to go at such a speed.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be focusing on corporate well-being. I feel like there is a huge gap.
Yeah.
I see so many clients that are in absolute agony because they're hunched over like little prawns, tapping away at their desk for 8 hours on end, and they're feeling the stress, they're feeling the pressure, their boss is ringing them, emailing 24/7. So I'm going to swoop on in there and make some changes. I won't say too much yet, but keep your eyes peeled.
Cool.
It's very exciting.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's needed.
I think it's very much needed. I think that most people, exactly like you said, they're on their laptop, or sometimes just a laptop, hunched over a screen.
Poor pressure,
It's not good.
Exactly.
And everyone's just hunching over. I'm bad for it. It's not even because of the work, I've just bad posture, but like hunched over further and further.
And we like that on our phones, aren't we, when we get home? Like, it's just wild.
It goes from one screen to another screen.
It's really true.
It's not good.
Yeah, I look forward to that progression and just seeing, I feel comfortable to be able to have a play around with things now. I'm so fortunate at the salon that I have such wonderful clients that I see so often. I'm very grateful for a busy diary. So it just allows things to tick over nicely. And it is sometimes that give and take bit. For example, like today, recording day, I always have a Tuesday afternoon off. So it's been so lovely to know that I haven't got to go back to work after this. Like, I had a lovely lunch and came back, and it's just so nice to have that leisurely space. And I think as a business owner, to actually cut your hours down is one of the scariest things, but probably the best things you'll ever do. I decided actually this time last April that I was going to work a short day on a Tuesday. I'd do 9 till 1. And I was like, oh my God, the lack of... No, I'm cutting my money. I'm basically saying like, sorry, no. Yeah. But so much has come from having that time. Mental clarity, the lack of burnout. Of course, it catches up with you sometimes. But I feel like creating that space has been the best thing. And also it allows space for new opportunities to arise. When you get to a point when you're like, okay, cool, what's next? I'm so rigid, I can't move. Letting go of things then frees things up in a very weird way.
Yeah. I'm just starting to work 4 days a week because I'm having my son 1 day a week.
Lovely.
Which I'm really looking forward to doing.
What privilege.
Yeah.
This is his time. And he'll soon be at
like
school,
father,
right?
Yeah, father and son time, which I know is going to go really quickly.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's going to be at school. It's time where I'm not in the office. I'm just, especially in the summer, it's going to be so much fun to the park and doing stuff. And he's just started walking and all that sort of stuff. So we can go in the woods and we can do all this cool stuff. And I'll be honest, when it was the first conversation that I was going to do that, I was like, yeah, but I'm not working for a day. But
it's
now
scary.
I'm like,
it does get you like,
yeah,
am I doing the right thing?
And adjust the diary, move things around, speak to clients, let people know. And then now I'm buzzing. I can't wait for every Friday this week.
How lovely.
So every Friday is father and son time, doing what we want to do. It's going to be awesome.
It's going to bring you so much value without you even realising, like forgetting the financial side to it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
And I think the financial side, yes, it's one of those things, but I'm never going to get that time back with him.
Embrace it.
And that's just worth.
That's the beauty of working for yourself. Yeah. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs lose sight of that.
Yeah.
Like you are in control of what you are working, what you're doing. Make it work for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you've got the retreat coming up and you've got some exciting stuff coming up. Where do we find you on socials? And you can obviously tag stuff in all the posts that we're doing.
Absolutely. So my handle is daniellecox.wellbeing. Our salon website is coxsalon.com. You can find all information about upcoming retreats, events, and all the girls and what we're up to in salon on the Broadway. And yeah, I think that's it.
If not, we can add it afterwards.
Add it on. Yeah.
Cool. So
thank you.
I think we've gone through everything. So thank you very much. It was very nice to talk.
It was very nice to talk.
A lot that I can take away from this as well.
I hope so. Would you like a drop of a peppermint essential oil?
Yeah.
We should have done it at the beginning, but it's going to feel great.
We'll do it now.
So peppermint is amazing for connecting to the third eye.
Okay.
So this is you're really going to be into this after reading the book, actually. So our sense of like intuition is amazing for helping to heighten vibration. But peppermint's one of my favourites. We both briefly spoke about how hay fever this time of year can really get on top of us. So I'll pop a little drop into your palm. Lovely. It's quite a runny one.
When it's ready.
Lovely. Rub your palms together. I love peppermint. So I use this treatment. Strong. It's so strong. I use this during my tension release ritual treatment. Sorry if you hear that on the mic, guys.
That's a bit ASMR going on.
Isn't it? Lovely. And hold your hands up to your nose, not too close, about 30 centimetres. Close your eyes down, taking a nice deep breath in. And sighing out. Twice more. Breathing in. And out. Breathing in. And out. How good do you feel?
I always think when you breathe like that, my whole head like spaces out and feels so much better.
Doesn't it?
You've also got such a relaxing voice.
Oh, thanks. I do try.
Your voice is so relaxing. And then when I was in to see you last time, it's like you've got 8 hands and it's nuts.
Someone else has said this. I'm here for that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like and it's also hard to work out where you're standing, like because your hands are like. It's like, it's nuts.
Great. Lovely. I look forward to seeing you for Reiki.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a go.
Get into that. Amazing. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you.
Had so much fun.
Yeah, it's been good.
Lovely. If you need any peppermint oil for it's fine. Put this on the back of your neck. It's very cooling.
Is it?
Yeah, lovely. The camera needs some.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's
been lovely. Woohoo.
Thank you. I remember before that got done up, I remember going there in the days when you could smoke inside when I was a kid and going to like a wedding thing or it was like something with my family and there was a big garden, playing in the garden. But I remember coming home and mum's like, take your clothes off and put them out, put them in the wash, you stink of smoke.
Things
Do you
have
remember
changed,
those days?
like even like so yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It's changed
gross.
for the better. Yeah, it's crazy.
Why was I a kid taking my clothes off because it smells of smoke? That's nuts.
That is wild.
So normal, but at the time, but that is nuts to think about, isn't it?
I always think like what's going to be the next change that we're going to think of in like 20 years time and think, oh my God, that's wild. I often think that about candles actually. Yeah. Like how I think we're going to look back in a few like 20, 30 years time. We used to light matches in our house, like how crazy, what a hazard. Now there's so much more battery LED ones coming in. I always think that because I used to have so many tea lights in my room, maybe like 10, 15 a day. Then I read how bad it is as like passive smoking. And I've got no windows in my beauty room. So you think that I'm just like having that all the time.
Yeah.
Like circulating. Mad thought.
It is, yeah.
Isn't it?
There's got to be lots of... I mean, when I think about... So I'm 30, going to be 32. My brother's 7 years younger than me. How he grew up is very different to how I grew up. He had a phone when he was... like not even just a phone, like a touchscreen phone when he was probably like 10 or something. Yeah. I had a 3210 or whatever it was that you could play Snake on and the battery would last like a week. Yeah. You could phone, it cost 10p a text.
Yeah.
Right? And you could do 100 texts for £10 or whatever the maths is.
It was about that. Yeah.
And actually go walk to the post office to get your top up. Like, it's nuts. But I wouldn't have changed that. I used to go to the park and play with people that are 5 years older than me and 5 years younger than me, playing football, playing whatever someone was playing, go to the river and start fires or climb trees or go swimming in the summer.
So much more social back then, wasn't it?
And now it's like, my brother's like social, like it's not him as a bad example. He plays a lot of football and golf and he's sociable, but just the difference in that age. And then you go 10, 15 years younger and it's Fortnite all the time and Fortnite dances and all that stuff. And you think, that's not a childhood. No. That's...
They like struggle to talk to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As well. I've noticed that with my cousin actually.
Yeah, my cousins too. They're younger. Yeah. And even to hold a conversation, they're not even too sure of how to do that. I started mentoring a young person at school and they're like, was she 14? And they said they need adults like come into the school that are not someone who's going to tell them what to do. You're not their parent, you're not their teacher. You're just someone to advise them and guide them and talk to them about life. So I did that for a few months and it was really eye-opening because the conversations, even what she was having in the playground with her friends, were very different to what I was ever having at 14. Like,
I dread to think.
It's wild. Like TikTok. Oh, I saw this on TikTok. I saw this. That's all it is. Like that's what they're commenting on 24/7, and that's what their brain is absorbing.
And that's thing.
That's worrying.
It is scary.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Austin's only like nearly a year and a half, so I'm not worried about him being on TikTok. But I'm worried about what is it going to look like when he's 15, 16.
Yeah.
Because it's scary what I don't know. So, for example, like.
It's like being our grandparents in a way, isn't it?
Oh, well, yeah, for sure.
I agree.
Like it was MSN when I was younger. That was probably as crazy as it got. But even with MSN, it was still, you couldn't, it was just chatting to your friends. You couldn't really find anybody else. You couldn't see what anybody else was doing, what they looked like, anything. But now, it's crazy. TikTok or whatever, Instagram, whatever you want to use, you're not that many clicks away from finding something weird.
I agree. And something that is not age appropriate or something that is not meant for their eyes or that's going to influence them in not a positive way.
Yeah. It's scary.
Worrying.
I feel bad letting him watch Miss Rachel too much, let alone going on TikTok.
Honestly.
But
don't let him have YouTube. My cousin's done that with her little girl. She's coming up 5 and she says it's crazy. Like she's watching girls do makeup videos, but they're not a lot older than her.
It is nuts.
And that just blows my brain.
There is a balance between... This is well off topic to our podcast, by the way,
That's
but we'll
fine.
chat anyway. There's a balance between not letting them get too detached from school. Like everyone's got phones, everyone's doing that. You don't want to like then kids get bullied because they haven't got phones and they haven't got this, they haven't got that. But also, how do you manage it where you're not hovering over, watching everything they're doing all the time, monitoring everything? Because I feel like that's what I'll be like. I know, like, that adolescent, have you seen that adolescence program? That's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's real. That's not a far-fetched story. That's that's based on true facts, isn't it?
I always resonate with things when they're recorded in the UK. I see it in such a different light.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes things are so Americanized and so over the top that it's like, oh, that's so far from reality. But when it's like streets that you can imagine on the UK and stuff like that being so, you resonate with it so much more different.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It seems so much more real. But there was I was speaking about this to a client today. After adolescence, there's been quite a good blow up of like men talking about certain situations. I even watched a news night with BBC shortly after, and they had 4 young men ranging from maybe like 11 to 22, and they were all talking about their experiences. I'm like, wow, how far have things come? Because once upon a time that would not have even got a look in. So it's a real positive, these things that do come out of shows like that, I think. Even if it's really hard hitting.
I think so. And I think that there's like mental health is massive, right? It's really important to be spoken about, but it's never been spoken about more than it does. There's still a long way to go, I think.
Yeah.
But there's never been more than there is now. And it's kind of everywhere that it needs to be. Like I listen to all sorts of podcasts, but even like Joe Rogan, which you kind of think is can be controversial, can be this. One of his sponsors is BetterHelp, which is a subscription for therapy.
Yeah.
Like it's everywhere. I think that it's still very expensive and still very hard to really find good therapists that don't go through the NHS, and talking about mental health is still a stigma. But I think that the more people do talk about it, the more platforms it has, the better. And I think the whole Andrew Tate thing is kind of the opposite of what the adolescent thing was all about, isn't it? And I think that's what fed.
Very, very, very strong, opinionated.
Yeah.
But then some males really resonate with that, and it's like, no, that's not the way round.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hard.
Yeah, I could really I could talk about that a lot, because I think that there's a lot about being male that is difficult, that he was making a point of, that he went a really wrong way about doing it.
Do you think his intentions were that?
I think his intentions were he knows how to get viral.
Yeah.
So he knows what to say.
Sadly, that's a lot of the cases, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what's going to get the most attention?
Yeah. If I'm loud, if I'm really, he's very, very close to saying it, that it can still go viral, but not saying it that it doesn't get cancelled. It's very, very close to getting to that edge.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of what he was, trying to get across was potentially, I do think that there's a thing of, like if you go back to, I think a lot of it's lost in the UK. I think we're in a very bad place in the UK with a lot of people that don't believe in the country, don't believe in what's going on, politics, and
lost a lot of faith.
Has lost a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, I don't agree with his points, but I think that I was watching something on socials the other day, and it was walking around the streets saying, if we went to war, would you fight for our country? And everyone said no. Why would we do that? I don't believe that. And I think that what is missing is, if you spoke to, I would guess, anyone's grandparent, 100% yes, I would fight my country.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think is lost.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily
Sense
you're not
of pride
masculine
in
enough
a way,
or
isn't
this.
it?
Yeah,
it's absolutely, I agree.
Yes, there's a lot wrong with this country, but it's a very it's a very good place to be compared to a lot of countries out there.
For sure.
It's not perfect, and I think that's where there's that line between not being masculine, not being a man, but just taking pride in yourself, your country, how you conduct yourself, how you kind of manage your mental health, your physical health. Like a lot of what he says is like, if you're healthy and you're fit and you look after yourself, your mental health may well take a positive turn in terms of that. And I agree with that. If you are physically looking after yourself, going to the gym, eating right, I'm not saying that you're not going to have, your mental health will be perfect, but I think it does support that.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the ideas are, the problem is, like you said, they're 14-year-old kids looking at it that don't have the experience to dissect, okay, he's saying that to be controversial to get my attention, but his point might be this.
Yeah.
They're just saying, okay, yeah, I need to be a man, I need to treat women in a certain way, and I need to be this, I need to be that, and that's wrong.
For sure. Touching on the men's mental health thing, I think there's such a big change. I know personally I've welcomed in so many more clients that are male, which is so lovely to see, because I would say that a lot of the time it is that like inner strength thing, like you don't make time for yourself, you just go, hit it, like very masculine energy, right?
Yeah.
Instead of softening down and slowing down, rather than seeing that as like a negative, is slowly becoming a positive. Would you say the same?
Yeah, I think that it was always kind of seen as a weakness if you
to slow down, if
you stop, if you have a massage, or if you go and do something for you. I mean, I went to do so that breath work I mentioned. That's something I would never have done before.
Was that the similar time as your treatment?
It was the next day.
It was.
Yeah. And I thought, that's not me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not me. It's not because I'm against it, but it's just I wouldn't go out of my way to do it. It was amazing.
Wow.
It was like, it's changed my perspective on my life.
Just one session.
It's
so powerful. And you think, would you say you're 32?
Yeah.
And to think that you've never taken breath like that.
Yeah.
In that, what was it, a 1 hour, 2 hour session?
Well, it was a whole day's thing, but that breath work was like an hour. It was like 55 minutes of laying on the floor, headphones in, eye mask, full, like, I don't know what the correct term is, but deep breathing, basically. And it was, I don't know what word describes it, but just nuts. Wow. I might as well have, like, I've never done drugs or anything like that. I might as well have popped a pill. That's what it felt like.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what that does feel like, but I can imagine that's what it feels like.
That you're a part of an Ibiza all of a sudden.
My hands were like cramping up like that.
Did they feel tingly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like pins and needles tingly, and I couldn't really move them. My whole body felt like numb. I kind of wanted to move and move. I don't know why my body was like moving.
Yeah. It's a release of energy.
Yeah.
I would love to study breath work. I've done it, experienced it myself, so I totally get what it feels like. And it's just incredible, isn't it? But knowing like you're facilitating that and holding space for it, I want to know the ins and outs, like what is happening.
It was just like breathing. And it's like, I went to this thing, he was talking about it, and I was like, okay, fine. I don't believe in like, I feel like before it was like, you only get hypnotized if you want to be hypnotized. Mm-hmm. You have to believe that you're going to be hypnotized to be hypnotized. But I thought, similar sort of thing, but I'll go with it. I'm not going to be the only one here that's like, really? So I thought I'll go with it.
Roll with it. Open-minded.
It was
I always
nuts.
think any experience like that, going in open-minded is the best possible way, and like have no expectations. And maybe it's actually a good thing that you didn't have too much knowledge or depth of it before. You didn't know what to expect.
And it's
so
also
powerful.
I thought there was something that I was going to think about. I said, look, you're going to go into it, try and clear some space of what you want to think about, and it couldn't have been the furthest from what I thought. I thought it was the obvious. I thought it was going to be like being a good dad or being a good husband or like trying to grow my business. It wasn't that at all. It was like inner deep self stuff. Yeah. Like to the core of me, to the point where I was like crying and like it was stuff. It wasn't like I was seeing things it was just like inner feelings of mine that I've just not processed or thought about. And I got up and I was like,
damn. Yeah. Did you feel instant relief in a way? Did you feel lighter?
I felt when I sat up, I felt a wave of motion. I felt like I was just about to start sobbing. Yeah. And like not thankfully, but somebody else there just started crying. And it really like threw me how much he started crying. It kind of took me off my kind of feeling of crying. Do you know what I mean? I was literally like, oh my God, I was with this wave. And then he was just sobbing. Which no disrespect at all. Like I was, and it kind of just like took me by surprise. That it kind of took my attention, so it kind of took my head away from where I was. Yeah. But during it, I was like, it was like I was crying. And I wasn't not crying, but it was just like tears was running down my face. Yeah. I wasn't conscious. It was nuts.
It's such an amazing experience.
I want to do it again, but not just yet. I don't think I'm ready for it just yet.
Like every time you go for a breathwork session, you'll get something different out of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And it was I
think I tagged you on that person.
You did,
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm going to go and do it again, maybe sort of back into the year. Yeah. But yeah, it was crazy.
It's so wild. I think on that sense of like well-being, there's so many things that are available out there. Sometimes it's overwhelming and like where to start, what's going to be sustainable for you, what you believe in or what you want to try. But sometimes it's just actually go with it. Like you said, go open-minded to something. And if it works for you and if you have an incredible experience, then it's absolutely worth it. Yeah. There's so much out there. Sometimes it can be like, oh my gosh, where do I start if I wanted to start looking after myself a little bit more? Yeah.
And I think that I completely agree with that. And I sometimes get in my own head about it. But as I think back, so I did a lot of travelling when I was young. My dad moved abroad. So he lived in Hong Kong for 8 years. So I've done a lot of traveling like Southeast Asia, and I kind of forget how much I believed that like incense, relaxed, having massages and connecting to a higher power, whatever it may be. Yeah. I was younger, open-minded, didn't think about it, and I forgot how much like peace it gave me. Like I don't believe in God. I'm not a religious person, but I believe in something, whatever that thing is. And I forgot how much that...
You felt connected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I smelt an incense the other day and it like, bang, took me straight back there. Really? And I was like, that's like...
Do you have any at home?
I've got loads.
Amazing.
I've got literally a box like that of all different... I just don't use them.
Yeah.
Occasionally I do, just if, I don't know, I cooked a curry or something and the house smells. But I don't consciously do it and then think about it. And I can't remember where I was, but I smelt one that was like, my mind was just walking down the street in Thailand.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is powerful. But I think I just need to make some conscious effort to lean into it more as opposed to just being like, well, that took me back. Right, what was I doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Creating that space in your week is so important.
Yeah.
And especially as a business owner, you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
Creating that time for yourself where you feel like it is just time for your brain to pause. You'll be so surprised at how many more physical downloads come to you. It's like when you have a holiday. Do you then come back feeling so inspired and like, wow, powered up, so ready?
Yeah, I'm itching to come back when I'm on holiday because I've got an idea. But then which is negative because I'm like, I want to get back, so I'm not relaxing. But then it is difficult. But I get it. Like I'm walking the dog and I've got idea because I'm just not thinking about it and I'm relaxing. But when I'm sat there and I've got to do something, I'm like, I don't even know where to start with this.
Yeah.
It is crazy how you give that space in it.
I love doing that on a plane. That's my favourite time to like, right, I'm going to think about everything that I have to do and I'm going to write it down. And then over this next week, it's going to come to fruition. And it really does. Like,
and that's a good excuse to get on a plane and go on holiday as well, isn't
it? Agreed. Longer the flight, the better.
Exactly.
Australia.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so